During the mid-1920s, with the ever-increasing aviation industry and interest within Manchester, a campaign was started by aviation-minded people, including civil engineer John Leeming and Sir Sefton Branca, then the UK Minister of Civil Aviation. From then on, Manchester's council began to realise that the city needed a permanent airport. From as early as August 1926, John Leeming had written to the Manchester Guardian advocating the establishment of an aerodrome in the area, and Brooklands had been suggested as a site along with a small parish named Ringway to the south of Wythenshawe. That year, Mr. Tatton, a country squire at Wythenshawe Hall, sold a vast portion of land surrounding his estate, and it came into the hands of Manchester Corporation, who planned to build local authority housing on it. On the 17th of October 1928, the Manchester Evening News came out with the headline, "Ideal Site Selected at Barton." The story that followed announced plans for Manchester Aerodrome, but at Wythenshawe, and this was the first airfield built to serve, albeit temporarily, as Manchester's municipal aerodrome until Barton was completed. It went on to say that Manchester's new aerodrome would be within 6 miles of the heart of the city and even nearer to the great industrial estate at Trafford Park. Having decided that Manchester was to become the first city in Great Britain to have a civic aerodrome, the council set about preparing the site at Chat Moss, we know today as Barton. Plans for Manchester Aerodrome as an entity, also known locally as Rackhouse Aerodrome, were incredibly rushed, as at the time it had become apparent that Hull also had a suitable ground in operation at Headon. Things needed to happen fast, and Leeming knew that little prestige ever accrued to the runner-up in a race, and to ensure Manchester's precedence in the field, a temporary site was found in early 1929 at Wythenshawe, where the Rackhouse estate is now. Some of the land sold by Mr. Tatton, 4 fields at Raghouse Farm, were to become the temporary aerodrome, and hedges were removed and a barn became the terminal building and hangar. The airfield site was within the fork of Wythenshawe Road and Sale Road, west of the intersection with today's Princess Parkway and just north of Wythenshawe Park. A country lane, which is now Rackhouse Road, ran along its eastern edge. A farmhouse became the administration building, temporary fuel pumps were installed, and the only navigational help to pilots for identifying the primitive aerodrome were the letters MC in white within a large circle. No airfield lighting or radio facilities were ever put into place. It was small and had limited facilities, but it was ready, and it sufficed for a short time until Barton was finished. To be successful as an aerodrome, whatever the form, whether it be a civic aerodrome or a manufacturing site, it needed to have aircraft and operations, and Leeming was concerned that Manchester would be left with a field in only limited use. This led him to consider the establishment of a company that would provide air taxis and other services. In late 1928, he resigned his chairmanship of the Lancashire Aero Club and joined with F.J.V. Holmes of Berkshire Aviation Tours Limited in the formation of 2 companies. The first one was Northern Air Transport Limited and the second Northern Airlines Manchester Limited. A de Havilland DH9 was purchased and, along with a de Havilland DH60 Moth and an Avro Avian, were added to the large fleet of Avro 504s brought to the site by Holmes. Captain A.N. Kingwill, a greatly experienced veteran of the Royal Flying Corps, was appointed as chief pilot, and he was to prove a great asset in the difficult years of the Enterprise's existence. The initial landings at Wythenshawe were made on the 2nd of April 1929, and Captain Kingwill was followed in by Miss Winifred Brown in her Avro Avian, registration GEBVZ, and J.C. Cantrill, Peter Eckersley and Alan Goodfellow in a similar aircraft of the Lancashire Aero Club. On the 29th of April 1929, the Lord Mayor, Alderman George Westcott, flew to London in a de Havilland DH50, registration GEBQI, the Lancastrian of Northern Airlines. He was there to collect from the Air Minister Aerodrome licence number 1414, dated the 19th of April and valid for an initial period of 6 months from the 22nd of April. The aircraft went unserviceable at Croydon and the Lord Mayor returned to Wythenshawe in the de Havilland DH9C, registration GEBIG. When he arrived, he brandished an entirely irrelevant piece of paper to the waiting crowd because the licence was mistakenly left in London. Lancashire Aero Club's request to use Wythenshawe had been turned down in May 1929, but nevertheless in June of that year an aircraft and an instructor landed and proceeded to give instruction and were charged 2 shillings per landing. In the same month it was agreed to allow the RAF from Sealand using Avro 504s to use the airfield free of charge. Northwest Airlines chartered their 2-seat de Havilland DH60 Moths at a rate of 1 shilling per mile. The first foreign-built aircraft to visit was the Fokker Universal, registration GEBUT. The first service aircraft was a Gypsy Moth from Sealand, and the largest visitor was the Ford Trimotor, registration NC8412, which called in on a demonstration flight. The 22nd of June 1929 saw an air pageant that attracted many aircraft and large crowds of interested spectators. Wythenshawe didn't remain open for a very long period of time, but a number of interesting visitors used the field, as well as the resident aircraft of Northern Airlines and the frequent training flights of the Lancashire Aero Club from nearby Woodford. The opening at the airport at Wythenshawe had given Manchester a well-deserved lead in municipal proprietorship of a centre of air transport, but work to create the new aerodrome on the difficult surface at Chat Moss continued, and on the 1st of January 1930, Manchester began the new decade with a new airport at Barton. Wythenshawe was finally declared redundant in favour of Barton on the 1st of January 1930. It limped on for a short while after being used as a secondary landing ground for the training activities of Northwest Airlines. The 19th of June 1930 was the last recorded flight from Wythenshawe, and the coming years saw the area completely redeveloped and the construction of social housing. Today there's no trace of Manchester Aerodrome at all.